Swajana Vadat Vimukasya Dosha Buddhya Swajana Vadat Vimukasya Dosha Kumatim Aharad Atma Vidyaya Yaha Kumatim Aharad Atma Vidyaya Yaha Charanaratihi Paramasya Tasya Me Astu Charanarati Paramasya Tasya Me Astu Vyavahita Pratanamukam Nirikshya Swajanavadad Vimukashya Dosha Buddhya Kumatim Maharad Atma Vidyaya Yaha Charana Rati Paramasya Tasya Mestu Vyavahita Pratanamakam Nirikshya Swajanavadad Vimukasya Dosha Buddhya Kumatim Maharad Atma Vidyayas Charana Rati Paramasya Tasya Mestu Vyavahita, standing at a distance. Pratana, soldiers. Mukam, faces. Niriksha, by looking upon. Swajana, kinsman. Vadat, from the act of killing. Vimukasya, one who is reluctant. Dosha buddhya, by polluted intelligence. Kumatim, poor fund of knowledge. Aharat, eradicated. Atma Vidyaya, by transcendental knowledge. Yaha, he who. Charana, to the feet. Ratihi, attraction. Paramasya, of the Supreme. Tasya, for him. Me, my. Astu, let there be. Translation and purport by Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. When Arjuna was seemingly polluted by ignorance upon observing the soldiers and commanders before him on the battlefield, the Lord eradicated his ignorance by delivering transcendental knowledge. May his lotus feet always remain the object of my attraction. Please repeat the translation. When Arjuna was seemingly polluted by ignorance upon observing the soldiers and commanders before him on the battlefield, the Lord eradicated his ignorance by delivering transcendental knowledge. May his lotus feet always remain the object of my attraction. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The kings and the commanders were to stand in front of the fighting soldiers. That was the system of actual fighting. The kings and commanders were not so-called presidents or ministers of defense as they are today. They would not stay home while the poor soldiers or mercenaries were fighting face to face. This may be regulation of modern democracy, but when actual monarchy was prevailing, the monarchs were not cowards, elected without consideration of qualification. As it was evident from the battlefield of Kurukshetra, all the executive heads of both parties like Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna and Duryodhana were not sleeping. All of them were actual participants in the fighting, which was selected to be executed at a place away from the civil residential quarters. This means that the innocent citizens were immune from all effects of fighting because the rival royal parties. The citizens had no business in seeing what was going to happen during such fighting. They were to pay 1/4 of their income to the ruler, whether he be Arjuna or Duryodhana. All the commanders of the parties on the battlefield of Kurukshetra were standing face to face, and Arjuna saw them with great compassion and lamented that he was to kill his kinsman on the battlefield for the sake of his empire. He was not at all afraid of the giant military flanks presented by Duryodhana, but as a merciful devotee of the Lord, renunciation of worldly things was natural for him, and thus he decided not to fight for worldly positions. But this was due to a poor fund of knowledge, and therefore it was said here that his intelligence became polluted. His intelligence could not be polluted at any time because he was devotee and constant companion of the Lord, as is clear in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Apparently, Arjuna's intelligence became polluted because otherwise there would not have been a chance to deliver the teachings of Bhagavad Gita for the good of all polluted conditioned souls engaged in material bondage by the conception of the false material body. The Bhagavad Gita was delivered to the conditioned souls of the world to deliver them from the wrong conception of identifying the body with the soul and to re-establish the soul's eternal relation with the Supreme Lord. Atma Vidya, or transcendental knowledge of himself, was primarily spoken by the Lord for the benefit of all concerned in all parts of the universe. Presents the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamy Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Bhishmadeva is continuing his prayers to Lord Krishna. He is exhibiting or he is expressing the compassionate mood of the Lord in this verse. When his dear friend Arjuna was in a disturbed situation, was engulfed with ignorance, how Krishna became his a merciful guide and eradicated that ignorance. Vyavahita pratana mukam nirikshya. Vyavahita, when he was standing in the battlefield, pratana mukam niriksha, and he was face to face with all the soldiers and commanders in chief. Niriksha, while he was seeing all the people. Swajana vadat vimukasya dosha buddhya. At that time, Arjuna became little compassionate or disturbed. For what reason? Swajana vadat, because he had to kill his own family people. Who was their family people? Grandfather, guru, all the friends, relatives, sons, grandsons, different relations were there. Swajana vadat. The thought of killing the people itself, he became depressed. This is because vimukasya dosha buddhya, because of his polluted intelligence. Mind became very disturbed at that time. Kumatim aharad atma vidyayaha. At that time, Lord eradicated his kumatim, his bewildered intelligence, by atma vidyaya. With this Bhagavad Gita knowledge, he completely eradicated that unwanted intelligence. So he is saying, Bhishmadeva is saying, Charana rati paramasya tasya me astu. Let my attraction to be towards that lotus feet of the Lord. Charana ratihi. Attraction to the lotus feet of the Lord. Paramasya tasya me astu. Let it be my highest goal of life. So here, Krishna is exhibited as a well-wisher friend. Whenever his dear companion, dear associate Arjuna was not seemingly in the right understanding, Krishna showed him that mercy and brought him back to the proper consciousness. So, when Arjuna was seemingly polluted by ignorance, Vimukasya dosha buddhya, upon observing the soldiers and commanders before him on the battlefield, Vyavahita prutana mukam niriksha swajana vadat, the Lord eradicated his ignorance by delivering transcendental knowledge. Aharat kumatim atma vidhyaya. May his lotus feet always remain the object of my attraction. Paramasya rati tasya charana me astu. So here Bhishma is praying, let my all my attraction be always towards the lotus feet of the Lord. So see the scenario when we read Bhagavad Gita. The entire first chapter explains this perspective. They were all enthused to fight, because first question of Dhritarashtra itself, what was he saying? Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yutsava mamaka pandavasyaiva kima kurvata Sanjaya. So Dhritarashtra was asking Sanjaya, oh my dear Sanjaya, at a place called Dharma kshetra kurukshetra, samavetaha, they are all assembled there. Yuyutsavaha, with a desire to fight. Utsaha. People assemble in a playground for what purpose? To play a match. And they are all very enthusiastic to play. So here it was battlefield. Which is that battlefield? Kurukshetra. What is so special about this Kurukshetra? It is Dharma Kshetra. Samavetaha means everybody have assembled. Mamakaha Pandavaha. Who are they? My sons and sons of Pandu. Means all the people were there. Everybody wanted to fight, desirous to fight. Yuyutsavaha. But when the enthusiasm and all these things were perceived, Duryodhana has visualization of what is the army. He started calculating who and all are there, what are their strength. Then Arjuna started calculating who and all are there, what are their strength. When this calculation started, Krishna, see, the whole perspective is the entire battle of Kurukshetra was designed by the Lord. On the will of the Lord, this battle was taking place. So Krishna wanted to utilize this opportunity to present Bhagavad Gita to the future Kali Yuga people. Arjuna, for him, one sloka is sufficient. Just Krishna says, stand up and fight. He will stand up and fight. But why 700 slokas of Bhagavad Gita required? So it is for the people, common people, for us, this Bhagavad Gita is given with Arjuna as the recipient. Then we can say, why Arjuna only when there are so many people there? There was Bhishma, there was Yudhishthira, there was Dronacharya, all great people are all there. What is so specific qualification of Arjuna that Bhagavad Gita was delivered to him? So Krishna explains this in the 4th chapter. He says, Imam vivashvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam. This knowledge, yoga, Prabhupada translate this as transcendental knowledge. Atma Vidyaya. This Imam Vivashvate Yogam, it was spoken to the sun god, Vivashvan. Vivashvan Manuve Praha. Vivashvan explained it to his son Manu. Manu Rikshvake Rabravit. Manu explained to his son Ikshvaku. So in the Parampara system, the knowledge was coming. So next he says, Evam Parampara Praptam Imam Rajarishyo Viduhu. This knowledge was coming in the Rajarishi Parampara. Then why, what is the specific need again to explain for you now? Sakala neha mahta yogo nasta parantapa. As time passes, that knowledge appears to be lost. It can be two reasons. Bhagavad Gita existed, but it is not what Krishna had spoken. Or Bhagavad Gita did not exist at all. Because when was Krishna spoke to sun god? We are in the 28th millennium. 1 millennium is 43,20,000 years. At the starting of the millennium means at the 7th Manvantara. Vaivashvata Manu. Means 27 into 43,20,000 years before Krishna spoke this Bhagavad Gita. To sun god, roughly estimation. But how much time it has happened? Because Kala Kramena, everything will damage. So whatever we remember today, tomorrow morning, when you wake up, we may not remember today. Next day morning itself, we don't remember. Now, so much information of Bhagavad Gita, over a period of time, it appears to be lost. So, Krishna is saying, Arjuna, I have chosen you. Why? Sayevaya mayate adya yoga prokta puratanaha. That Puratana yoga, I am again explaining to you. Why? Bhaktosi me sakacheti rahasyam etad uttamam. Because you are my bhakta and you are my saka. This is your primary qualification. That's why I have chosen you, this Bhagavad Gita, to be the recipient. So if we also have to understand Bhagavad Gita, we should also develop these two qualities. Bhakta, saka. But then that information will be revealed to us by Krishna. Now what happened when Krishna, he saw the situation, he took this chariot. Arjuna asked him, take this chariot. Ratam stapayame achyuta. I want to see who and all have come here to fight. So Krishna placed his chariot exactly in front of Bhishma and Drona. As soon as Arjuna saw Bhishma and Drona, his family attraction became very much dominant. Because Bhishma was the one who had raised them. They were in a wrong place. Bhishma and Drona, like for example, if you see, from the childhood itself, when they took birth, they took birth somewhere in Badrikashrama area. So if you go to Badrikashrama, one village before Badrikashrama is called as Pandavapura. That's where Pandu stayed. And that's where all the Pandavas took birth there. When Pandu died, all the children were all small children. The maximum for Yudhishthira was 14 to 15 years old. The others were few years, 2 years, 1 year shorter. Like they were, see, we are talking about people of Dwapar Yuga. To their age span, it is said that kid, what is kid's age in Kali Yuga? 15 years. 15 years till school, they are all called kids. In Dwapar Yuga, till 40 years, they are called kids. Because the age is 1000 years at that time. In proportion to 1000 years, they were all kids. Means 15 year, 16-year-old means today's 5-year-old, 6-year-old category. So they were small children, one mother with 5 children and nobody to take care. Father passed away and no financial assets to support them. Then all the rishis there in the Badrika Ashrama, they decided, yes, these people are rightful inheritance to the throne. So they had to be left in Hastinapura. So all the sages brought them and handed over to Hastinapura. Dhritarashtra was the in-charge king at that time because he is not qualified king. Because he was blind by nature. So there was a stopgap arrangement when there was nobody as qualified king. Some stopgap, temporary person was kept into that post. This is called as Apad Dharma post. When nobody was there, somebody was placed at that to manage the affairs. So at that time, Duryodhana was also a small kid, but he was saying, see, what is the problem, entire problem? Dhritarashtra was the first child, but because of being blind, he missed the opportunity of sitting on the kingdom. He was supposed to be the king, but he missed the opportunity. But Pandu, because he was next in successor, number 2, because of the earlier disqualification, he became the king. Dhritarashtra had a grudge. I missed the opportunity. Now the problem is, I missed the opportunity. My sons are also missing the opportunity. See, he wanted desperately to have a child first, so that he will become the heir. But by the will of the Lord, Yudhishthira Maharaj took birth first. Because Kunti had a boon. So she requested Dharmaraja. So that boy was immediately took birth. When Gandhari, she also became pregnant. And when she got to know that Yudhishthira Maharaj already taken birth, she became so vexed up. So she became so disturbed. Then she started hitting her womb. She was a pregnant woman. She was hitting her womb. Because of that excessive force, she delivered a lump of flesh. Pindam means this no shape, just mamsam mudda. Then Vyasadeva came there. He saw the scenario. Because she has been blessed to have 100 children. Now blessing cannot go wrong. Ashirvada is there. Now Vyasadeva, what he did? He made that pinda into 100 pieces. And he bought 100 pots which were filled with ghee. These 100 pieces were placed in all of them. Last moment Gandhari requested, along with 100 sons, I would like to have one daughter. So 100 pieces were made. 101. All the pots were kept. And from that small, it is like a small piece, it has to grow to a baby size. So after Yudhishthira Maharaj, it was like 1.5 years later, all the children started coming out. When the children started coming out, every day one child was taking birth. The first person to take birth was Duryodhana. As soon as Duryodhana came out, there was an earthquake at that time. Means to say, Apashekuna, he is worthless person. He is going to destroy the entire Vamsha. Vidura came and said, he is not a worthy child, discard him. మీరు ఎప్పుడైనా దోశలు వేసేటప్పుడు ఫస్ట్ దోశ సరిగ్గా రాదు, దాన్ని దిష్టి తీసేసి పక్కన పడేస్తారు. ఇది ఆ కేటగిరీ. దీన్ని దిష్టి తీసి పక్కన పడేయండి, మీ వంశం బాగుంటుంది, వంశం బతుకుంటుంది. మీకు ఒక్కడు కావాలా 100 మంది కావాలా డిసైడ్ చేసుకో అన్నాడు. ధృతరాష్ట్ర ఫస్ట్ అంతా ఓకే అన్నాడు. కానీ ఫస్ట్ పిల్లోని తీసుకొచ్చి చేతిలో పెట్టంగానే తండ్రి ప్రేమ, నథింగ్ డూయింగ్, నేను వదిలేది లేదు, పోయేది లేదు, మొత్తం 100 మంది పోయినా పర్వాలేదు కానీ వీడిని మాత్రం నేను చంపేది లేదని చెప్పి పెట్టుకున్నాడు. See, that family affection, one small mamakar. destroyed his entire race. No, but the small child only, but by nature they are all demoniac mentality. రాక్షస మనస్తత్వం. సో తర్వాత అది పిల్లల్ని తీసుకొచ్చినప్పుడు దుర్యోధన వాజ్ ఆస్కింగ్, వీళ్ళ నాన్నకే పుట్టాడని గ్యారంటీ ఏంటి? అక్రమ సంతానం కాదని చెప్పి గ్యారంటీ ఏంటని చెప్పి వెన్ హీ వాస్ క్వశ్చనింగ్. సో దెన్ ఆల్ ది సేజెస్ జస్టిఫైడ్ దేర్ దే వర్ బై ది ప్రాసెస్ ఆఫ్ ఆథరైజ్డ్ బై వేదిక్ స్క్రిప్చర్స్. ఆ లెక్కను చూసుకుంటే వీళ్ళ నాన్న ఎలా పుట్టాడు? ధృతరాష్ట్ర ఎలా పుట్టాడు? అంబా, అంబాలిక, అంబిక. అంబా లేదు, అంబాలిక, అంబిక. విచిత్ర వీర్య డైడ్. మరి ఎవరు వాళ్ళని ప్రెగ్నెంట్ చేసింది? వ్యాసదేవ. దాన్ని అది కరెక్ట్ కాదు కదా, వాళ్ళ నాన్నే కరెక్ట్ కాదు, అప్పుడు వీళ్ళని క్వశ్చన్ చేయడానికి కరెక్ట్ కాదు అప్పుడు. See, there are in the Vedic literature we are in a different time period. So in Dwapara Yuga rules were different, in Kali Yuga rules were different. That's why there was one shloka which says, which are the things which 5 things are forbidden in Kali Yuga. Ashwamedam gavalambam sanyasam pala paitrikam devarena sutotpatti kalo pancha vivarjayet. All these 5 things in Kali Yuga are not applicable. Ashwamedam, Ashwamedha yajna is not applicable. Gavalambam, Gavya yajna. Sannyasa, sannyasa is forbidden in Kali Yuga. Pitrufala means in earlier days, in other yugas, the Shraddha ceremony they used to offer meat to the forefathers. In Kali Yuga it is forbidden. Devarena sutotpatti, when there is, the husband was passed away, the elder brother used to impregnate. That is all forbidden in Kali Yuga. Because at that time rules were different, people were different, their quality was different. In Kali Yuga people were all of very low quality mentality wise. So all these things are forbidden in Kali Yuga. So in that way, see, from day one they were being questioned. Bhima was tried to be killed because Duryodhana was always seeing him as a competitor. They gave him poison, they threw him into the water, and they always planned always means and ways how to kill these Pandavas. So there was this fight was going on always, that internal fight was going on. In this entire episode, who is the main villain? This entire Mahabharata war, who is that main villain? Shakuni. Shakuni is the main villain. Because he is taking revenge for what happened to him. Gandhari, she, as per her Jataka, it is said that when she gets married, the first husband will die. So what they did, they made her married to a banana tree and they chopped off the tree. Now whether Gandhari is now Kumari or Vidva, what is her status now? Widow, Vidva. Now what happened? Now she is given as Kumari to Dhritarashtra for marriage. Now Dhritarashtra got to know after marriage that entire episode had happened. Now he thought he was cheated. He became very angry. Then he put into prison all the people of the Gandhari's family. Gandhari is from a place called as today's Gandhar, also known as Kandahar, Afghanistan. She is the princess of that province of Afghanistan area. So when she was, when all the parents and all the Shakuni and all the brothers were imprisoned there, everyone were given one morsel of food. Ante oka mudda, చేతిలో పట్టేంత ఒక ముద్ద. Per day, one morsel for one person. The punishment was they will all starve and they will all die. The father, who was very intelligent, he decided, if we strive for this, we will all die. I will put one test. Whoever becomes successful, we will feed him and he will be our representative and he will take revenge on our behalf. So he gave one bone and there was a small hole in that bone He said, whoever can thread this bone, he will be selected as the intelligent person and he will be taken care to remain on our behalf. Everybody tried, nobody could succeed. మనకి ఒక సూది ఇచ్చి సూదిలో దారం ఎక్కించమంటేనే మనకి అయిపోతుంది. అది ఒక ఎముక ఇచ్చి ఎముకలో ఒక చిన్న సూదంతా హోలే. Nobody was successful. Then Shakuni, what he did, he captured one small ant, he tied a thread to that ant and he passed that ant through that hole. So when ant came the other side, the thread was done and he became selected and he was chosen to be the representative of all the brothers and their parents. So they fed him, and when his father passed away, from his body backbone, the dice were made, pachikal. Because it was made from his body, father's bones, they responded to Shakuni in a way what he wanted to. So all the people died except 3-4 brothers were left over. Then these thought, these 3-4 brothers, what they will do us? And these 3-4 brothers were excused and they were brought out. So Shakuni, from that day, he was acting as if he was their friend. And he was always fighting, waiting for the opportunity when to take revenge. And this Shakuni explains in the last, when the Mahabharata war, when he, the last days, when he was fighting with Sahadeva, he explains the entire background, why he had to do like this. What was the reason? Like that, if you see, this is Mahabharata war is entire karma war. Everybody were receiving whatever they are supposed to get. Bhishma, because he offended Amba, Amba came back as Shikandi to kill him. Dronacharya had a curse that he will die only when he hears the son's death. Karna, he had a curse that one Brahmana cursed him that you will die in the battlefield when you are not conscious. Duryodhana had a curse by Bhima himself. He had asked Draupadi to come and sit on his lap, that he will break his that thigh and he will kill him. So if you see, everybody were having their respective karmas, which Krishna was executing as the master and in charge of karma, and he was delivering them. Like if you go to a restaurant, we'll all order whatever we want. The waiter will come and deliver accordingly whatever we have ordered. So Krishna was standing there and he was seeing that everybody were deliver whatever their karma are supposed to be. So choosing Arjuna was the biggest thing because he is a great personality, he is not a common man. That knowledge of Krishna, because one more qualification in the 9th chapter, Krishna says he was anasuyave, because he had no enviousness about Lord. One of the nature of this material world is, if my own brother has something, if I don't have, we feel asuya for him. Because Arjuna did not exhibit that asuya, he was again chosen. Then fourth one more reason he said, Sarvametad Ritam Manye Yanmam Vadashi Keshava. So whenever somebody says something, first thing is we doubt that personality itself. Nijama, Nammala. First doubt vastundhi. But Arjuna చెప్పాడు ఏంటంటే సర్వమేతద్ ధృతం మన్య, నువ్వేం చెప్పినా సరే తూచా తప్పకుండా నేను నమ్ముతాను, నేను శంకించను అని అన్నాడు. దిస్ వాజ్ ది ఫోర్త్ క్వాలిఫికేషన్. Entire Bhagavad Gita, after explaining Krishna, he never forced Arjuna to follow. He said, Yathai chesi tathakuru. Now you decide what you want to do. After hearing Bhagavad Gita, what was Arjuna's response? Nashtamoha smritir labdva tvat prasadat mayachyuta. Nashtamoha, my illusion is gone. Smritir labdva, my intelligence has been regained. Tvat prasadat mayachyuta. Oh Achyuta, by your mercy, all this is possible. Sitosmi gata sandehaha. All my doubts are cleared now and I am properly situated. Karishye vachanam tava. Now I have no independent or individual thought. I will execute what is good, whatever you suggest. So Krishna is saying, do what you fit to do. Arjuna is saying, what you want to do, that one I will do. So this is the point of Bhagavad Gita. When the knowledge is revealed, when the knowledge is awakened, one comes to the proper consciousness. So this Bhagavad Gita principle is observed not only just at that time 5000 years back. Even today, Krishna is there for us, book is there, that knowledge is there. If we sincerely approach, that knowledge is there and Krishna is there for our support. So there was one dream by Mataji as a book distributor. So Prabhupada once said, I will see to it that those who will distribute my books will be taken out of this world. One more place he said, I will ask Bhaktivinoda Thakura to come at the time of death for those who will distribute my books. So this was experienced by a Mataji by name Radha Kunda Mataji. She was a book distributor, and she was a disciple of Prabhupada. She used to stand near Prabhupada's Samadhi, and she used to Prabhupada's office. Whenever devotees used to come, she used to capture various books, and she used to ask people to just take some books, and she used to, this Bhagavad Gita book she used to carry, she would inspire people to read these books. So one day, she went to Radhakund. She met one Babaji there. So she asked Babaji, so he was speaking something from the heart, like he was saying something, and he said, do you want to receive the mercy of Srimati Radharani? She said, yes, why not? Then he said, every day you come to Radhakund, I'll give you one specific mantra, you chant this mantra, and one day Radharani's mercy will come to you. And at that time what happens, so sometimes some people were saying she became carried over. She started chanting that mantra and she was going every day to Radhakund. But she was feeling that guilt because she was not able to do the book distribution properly. She started thinking that I am deviating from what Prabhupada wanted me. Yeah, Shri Lakshmi Narasimha ki jai. So at that time she was always in that disturbed situation. So she was not feeling that comfortable whether she is doing correct or not. One day when she slept in the night, she was there in the temple hall. Prabhupada came there. After Prabhupada sat there and he was having a stern look upon her. So then Prabhupada, when that look, she was very fearful. She started that she had committed offense, and she was thinking, what should I do? Then Prabhupada asked her, accompany me. Then she started following Prabhupada. Prabhupada took her out of Krishna Balram temple. Then he went to Govardhan. Then they entered Radhakund. Then Prabhupada caught her hand and took her inside Radhakund. They went deep down Radhakund. And Prabhupada there were a table with all millions of books of all Prabhupada. And there were so many souls waiting there, crying to be delivered. And Prabhupada was giving them books left and right. He was distributing to all the people. That crying souls were coming, accepting a book from Prabhupada, and immediately they are becoming a four-armed form and going back to Vaikunthas. And everybody, they are shouting, me, me, me. They are like, we want, we want, we want. Then after some time, she was standing there and she was staring at there, and Prabhupada started scolding her. How long will you stand there and stare? I am alone trying to distribute these books. When will you come and assist me in reaching to these souls? Then she realized the mercy of Radharani is when you serve Prabhupada, you will get automatically. Not that separately you endeavor to get that mercy. These books are for whom? For all the conditioned souls. So that they can get delivered from this cycle of birth and death. That was the intention of Lord Krishna. Why did he speak this Bhagavad Gita? This is what Arjuna is saying. This is what Bhishma is saying. This is for the people of this future. When their mind is disturbed, kumatim, dosha buddhya, this Atma Vidyaya will deliver them from this cycle of birth and death. And Prabhupada took up that mission of book distribution so that whole world will get benefited. So this is one more story about the book distribution perspective. So what happens when we are so enthused? We'll forget to know what is what details also sometimes, because that enthusiasm, that energy, what we go through. So this is somewhere in Russian part. So generally the Sanskrit terms will have different terminology in local perspective. So there was a devotee by name Gautama Rishidas. So they used to go in a day-to-day Sankirtan. They used to go outside, because the Western world, hardly people come to temple, so you have to go out to meet people. So they used to go to Nagar Sankirtan, and they used to go to reach to people to distribute these books and all. So he was having a friend by name Akula Das. So both of them as partners, they used to go out for book distribution. In Russian language, Akula means shark. A fish, a shark. So for English speakers, so they used to go and knock and they used to reach to people. So they were on a Sankirtan door to door. There was a huge apartment complex. This is somewhere in Nizhny Novgorod. The outside there were the security guards who were known as babukshas. they warned these people that a particular floor, don't go inside. There are mafia dons there. It's an apartment complex. This particular floor you don't go. Be careful, because they are all mafia dons. So these people started going door to door. From first floor, all the apartments were covered. Second floor, all the apartments were covered. When these people went, the recipients were also very enthusiastic. Everybody were taking books. So these people were high in their enthusiasm. And they forgot the instruction, so and so floor they should not enter. And out of enthusiasm, they entered that floor. They knocked the door. When they knocked the door, so then people came from inside. There was a shout. Who are you? Introduce yourself. So then this person said, I am Akula. See, you are talking to Russian people. When Akula it said means, I am shark. And they are inside are dons. Then somebody said, shark is not a name where mothers give to their children. So for only a fellow family, dons can understand. This is a title which they earn because of their heroism or what is their gundaism or anything. So suddenly a person came there with full military vest like dressed, fully loaded with arms. AK-47 were there. He opened the door. So that person was also a little shocked by seeing these devotees in their dress. And he said the name Shark, he is in saffron dress and he is having books in his hand. Then they opened the door and they sent him inside. So they were into a main room. There were around 20-25 people were there. They are all eating food at that particular point. There were vodka bottles, there was smoke, there were everything was present there. So Akula came there. He said, Akula is here to talk. The devotees were introduced. So they were thinking, who is this Akula? What he wants to talk with us? It's like a challenging them. So he said, do you know what will happen to you when you die? Then all their eyes were little alarmed. So they are all dons. Nobody knows when people will come and kill them. So when this question was put forward, they were all little in a surprised mode. And because these people, he was in full of excitement of book distribution. And he did not even think of who are they. He did not even see what were they are. What are they doing? What are their dressing? All these things and all. Do you know what kind of death awaits you? What will happen to you afterwards? Akula was talking continuously like that. There was dead silence in the room. And Akula means business. He wants to sell that books. He was not thinking of living or dying. He said, I am here to distribute my books. So everybody were reaching to their hands, to their guns, and they were all getting ready. Gautama was next person. He was shivering. He was waiting. He was just when to run away. He was thinking, because he is seeing all the people with their guns and all the. Akula was not even bothered. All the guns were loaded and the click sound were coming. So then he was saying, what's your answer? He is demanding them, what's your answer? Do you have tongue on your mouth or not? So they were, all the other 20 people are thinking, 2 people without guns are challenging us with 25 people with all the guns. In their mood, they are thinking, I think these people should be bigger than all of us. So they were thinking in a surprise mode. They asked, are you from Moscow? No local person will dare to talk us like that. These people said, yes, we are from Moscow, but actually not. And he started smiling. We have a message from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for you. It's right in our bags. Then all that dons were thinking, who is this Chaitanya? What is his message? Like it is like when somebody comes to give you a warning message. They were thinking some Chaitanya, some big don had sent a message. And they were all in that mood. What is that message? Maybe like that and all. These people immediately put his hands into the bag to remove that Bhagavad Gita book. All that people started taking their guns out. These people are going to take something guns out to attack us. So immediately he took out a book and he gave that book. So everything is there in this. He said, giving Bhagavad Gita to people. Then boss took that book. He started flipping around. The other people also took that book. Immediately Gautama collected some donations from them and he started pulling him out of the room. Then Akula wants to preach some more time and he wants to distribute more books. But Gautama wants to run away from there. So finally after some time Gautama pulled him out and they came out. Akula started scolding him. Why are you so desperate of pulling me out? We could have spent more time with them. We could have preached more. We could have given more books. Gautama brought him. Are you here? Are you in this consciousness? He said, what did you observe? I observed 20 people are there eating some food. He did not see their uniform. He did not see the guns in them. He did not see all the ammunition which is there built with their AK-47s and all these things and all. He was only thinking, they are the people, they are ready for book distribution. That was in this mood. See, sometimes what happens now, that enthusiasm, we don't bother whom we are preaching, what we are preaching. We have to preach. And because devotees dare to preach like that, Krishna says, they are very dear to. They risk all their lives in preaching this Krishna conscious perspective. And Krishna is such a well-wisher friend for the devotees that he doesn't leave even if the devotee wants to leave. That is one of the promise by Krishna. He says, by jokingly or something, if a devotee comes in front of me and says, from today I am yours, tavasmiti. Krishna says, I take that as very serious option. Even if the devotee goes away, I pull him back. Because he made a promise, I took a promise that I will not leave him even if he leaves. So this is one more experience of one more devotee. So there was a Mataji by name Kirti Rani. So she is from area called as Asthana. They went to a program in Asthana for a festival. So they did not have time because their plane was about to start. They packed some prasadam, dinner, and they were running towards the plane. So last moment one more devotee gave them a big basket of prasadam for them to catch it up in the plane because they were very time scheduled. So they came there and so there was a place from the Asthana. They are going to a place called as Alma Ata. It is an 1.5 hour journey. They thought we don't need, it's only 1.5 hour journey, we'll go back and we'll hear there. Especially it's night, we don't require. But the devotee put that packet. One devotee, there were two. One Mataji said, no, I am hungry. The other Mataji said, no. So they take all the prasadam, they took all the prasadam and they got into the plane. So when they got into the plane, the two devotees were at two different rows. So the devotee next to him, there was one more person sitting there. Next to him there was a spare seat. So she waved to Kirti Rani to come and sit here and take that point. So both devotees got the same place because they were different rows also. They came and sat next to each other because of an empty seat. There was one person who was very silent, who was in a different dress and all these things and all, who was sitting there, and he started facing towards the opposite side. Means two Matajis are sitting, was facing towards the opposite side, and he was just bothered in his own world. So after some time, once the plane took off, these people, anyhow prasadam was there. They took out the prasadam and they started eating. Before eating, they thought they were chanting the mantras and all these things and all. So they were thinking, see, we can't eat prasadam alone. So there was one more person next to us. We'll also share him some prasadam. So they started talking to him. They tried to start to introduce, who are you, where are you from? That person started scolding them. I know this will happen. I know this will happen. Then she started explaining what will happen, what will happen. Then after a period of little interactions, all these things and all, he started explaining. He was actually a former devotee. He was in London temple. He was serving the temple there. But because of some disturbance with misunderstanding with one more devotee, he left the temple. He went out. He served for some 10-12 years in the temple. So when he went out, recently he was staying in a secluded life because interaction with people sometimes not always smooth and sweet. Some people are little introverts. They would not like to interact with others. So he was thinking, one day I surrendered to Krishna, but I wanted to go away from Krishna. I want to forget Krishna. But always Krishna was coming back behind me. So recently some of his relatives passed away. So he went to that place. So he was fasting because they were all eating all non-veg and all these things and all. So he was only eating some fruits and vegetables if it is available. He was still practicing that principles. But he was having that bitterness. Somehow he got disturbed. He wants to forget Krishna, but Krishna was always behind him. Then he started explaining. As soon as I saw both of you, I know both of you are going to come and sit next to me only. And he said, Krishna, because he is such a well-wishing friend, even if you want to run away, he will not allow. And always I have been running away from him. He was always catching me. Whenever I go on the road, somebody will come and say, hey, take this book. That's it. Just freely they used to give a book and go, not even expect money. The more I am trying to go away from Krishna, the more Krishna is trying to send people to come closer to him. So actually I have been desperate. I have been hungry. And I was thinking of if Krishna can send me some prasadam, it would be very nice. Both of you sat next to me and you are offering me this prasad. The more I don't want to remember Krishna, the more he is making me to remember Krishna. Then he ate that prasadam. He requested, can I get little more prasadam? And he took that leftover, whatever is that extra, and he carried that prasadam. And he was, that mercy of the Lord. When Krishna is saying, he is a well-wishing friend, he will take care of his devotees, yoga kshemam. That promise he will do as commitment at any cost. So Prabhupada said, he will be very satisfied when we execute what his desires are. Just execute that desires. For our personal satisfaction, we may not be ready, but for Guru's satisfaction, we should always be ready. That should be the mood and understanding. This is what Bhishma Deva is praying for all the people on their behalf, that we should always be meditating upon the lotus feet of the Lord. So we should also meditate upon the lotus feet of our spiritual master, so that we become that intelligent and we become free from all the ignorance, that we will be able to serve in a better way. Stop here. Any questions or doubts? Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Hitai Gaur Premanand.